Good morning, Greg.
G'day, Chris. How are you?
Very, very good. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for joining us at First National Real Estate.
Thank you very much. Happy to be on board.
Yeah. How many years now, Greg, have you been in real estate?
Going into my 45th year, Chris. Yeah, it's been a long journey.
And how'd you find your way into real estate originally?
Started out in Newcastle with LJ Hooker. They weren't sure what to do with me, so they thought real estate might be an opportunity, and it served me well over the years. I've really enjoyed the journey.
LJ Hooker were, in those days, the premier real estate business in the country. If you got a job at Hooker's in those days, that was as good as it got. And they were also the first agency in Australia to pioneer auctions.
Very big on auctions, yes. Barry Ryan, I was one of their original auctioneers, and learned a lot from him, and seminars to Sydney, and it was a real eye-opener. I started collecting rents on some of the more infamous buildings around town and progressed through to sales.
I reckon you would have been a big softie when it came to rent, wouldn't you? I would have liked you as my collection agent.
Yeah, the arrears list fluctuated significantly.
On the surf, I would have thought.
There was a bit of downtime. And then John Ragg was the principal at the time, and then eventually Laurie Abbott, who they were great mentors, and it was an enjoyable experience.
For the audiences here, Greg and I worked together more than 30 years ago, and we worked together for quite a few years, where he gave me a lot of instructions in certain parts of being a real estate agent. Signage, Greg, you've got a devotion to the art of the real estate sign.
Yes, I've got my own theories on that, and the modern way seems to be, with the young folk getting out of university with their graphic artist degrees, I'm just old school. I think the signage just needs to be able to be read at 60 k's, what's there, rather than a short story and every photo. I think people need to make a phone call to inquire as to what's happening behind the sign. With
so many years in our industry, it's very unusual and rare to get to ask some of the questions I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you what hasn't changed and what has changed in real estate. So let's start with what hasn't changed in nearly 45 years of listing and selling. What hasn't changed in real estate? I think it's still a people business. I think a lot of times people have looked to come and work for me and with me. They say they're into property. They know a lot about property. But property comes and goes. It's the people that you really need to, the community you need to be involved in to get the referrals and understand people, have empathy with the people, both vendors and sellers. So I think it's always been a people business. Luckily enough, we're in a location that draws people to it. So we don't have to sell our venue, but still we have to explain what traditionally the new lifestyle is going to be for the refugees from the city, I call them. We've been blessed as agents today with all of this extra information that we can give to our buyers and our sellers. Well, what are the good things that have changed that enable you to be a better agent today? Well, all the things from just the tools that we work with, the photography, the drone shots, for example. Being able to expose a rural property of some 100 acres, being able to fly around it and get the feel of the topography rather than have to walk it is a great asset to a sales representative looking to look after the stock that we do out in the hills. I notice even in our business now, you're teaching some of the young people, or the newer people in our business, about topography and about maps and about the lay of the land. Where did you come to that knowledge yourself? I'm not sure, but hard yards over many acres of paddocks says to me that if you've got a good map, and I had an example only 2 weeks ago in a completely covered camphor forest, that even the owner wasn't sure where we were going. And with my topographic map, I was able to help him. So we made the creek, took some photos of the creek. I understood the property a lot better and therefore could recommend certain ways that we might market this property going forward into the spring. Markets change, confidence changes, interest rate change.
right now a lot of people are under the impression, buyers and sellers, that we're in a new world, or that we're in a world that's without any past, without any history. My own feeling is that's not the case. So based on your experience of these types of markets, which you and I have seen over the last 40 years, what are you observing right now in our local area?
The inquiry for this very desirable location is still there. Not to denigrate, but a lot of people don't want to live halfway from the big smoke. They want to get to Byron Bay and the hinterland because it is a relatively small area stretching from out through Alstonville and around Dunoon and Mullumbimby. That red soil plateau country is very limited in size. Of course, you've got the wonderful beaches of Byron, so this whole feeling of, lost my words now, but this whole feeling of quality, because of the desirable nature of the country, is always something that will draw people to the area, I'm sure.
One of the staff, Denzel, when we had a sales meeting a week or two ago, mentioned to us the buyers from the cities that were using the word refuge to him. Are you finding that with the buyers you're dealing with at the moment?
Particularly with the current situation and the virus that's around and the publicity associated with it, yes, there is a big demand from the city to find a few acres that they can keep away, grow their own, as it were, the chooks, the ducks and the veggie patch. That inquiry's always been there, but it has dramatically, the inquiry, not actually the movement yet, but that will follow. The interest in the area is certainly there, yes.
We both had the pleasure and the good fortune to live here for big slabs of our life. I'm like you, I share confidence in the area. I see it, and even in these tough times and in other parts of the country, it's been very difficult. I can feel it when I talk to buyers and who wish to come to the area. Thanks very much, Greg, for spending time with us here this morning.
My pleasure. Thank you.